Alright, hey guys, Simon here. We're playing Assassin's Creed 2, and in this video, or these few videos, we're gonna take a closer look at the Santa Maria del Fiore. Because the great thing about this game is that sometimes they give you the interiors of the building to play around in too. So I exited out of the of that particular mission. So let's just go into here and see what the game has to say about this first. And actually, let me just um, San, 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 no, what do you, Santa Maria, was it, what is it, how do you spell this thing? Database, locations, okay, it's that one, Del Fiore. Del Fiore. Florence Cathedral. Maybe that I should just type that in. Duomo in Florence. Okay, let's get the map, and then can we get images? There. So that's the real thing. And as you can see, it's pretty much just like the one in the game. So they did a pretty accurate rebuilding of it in the game. That's amazing, look at this thing. Looks great, right? So the Florence Cathedral, okay, let's go back to the game first. And look at what the game says about it. Locations, so we're just gonna spend a lot of time on this one because we can. Whoa, hey, what's going on? One of Italy's largest churches and the largest landmark in Florence, Santa Maria del Fiore is considered by many to be the first masterpiece of Renaissance architecture. It is the first masterpiece of Renaissance architecture. Although the church was designed by Arnolfo di Cambio in 1296, that's a long time ago, the dome was not started until the beginning of the 15th century. So they built the cathedral, but they couldn't figure out the dome for like 200 years. With Cambio long dead, none of the architects at the time had any idea how to construct such an enormous structure. So, like, in the Dark Ages, they've forgotten, or they've lost the ability to build massive domes because they lost the technologies and the skills. So the Renaissance, like the dome, it symbolized the beginning of Renaissance architecture because they managed to build a dome basically. So none of the architects at the time had any idea how to construct such an enormous structure since the use of buttresses was forbidden in Florence, and mortar took several days to set. The use of buttresses was forbidden in Florence. That's so stupid. But all was not lost. In an amazing comeback story, Filippo Brunelleschi, I think that's how you pronounce it. Brunelleschi, an architect who had been defeated in an earlier bid to design the baptistry doors, won the competition to build the dome. He beat out Lorenzo Ghiberti, the same artist he had lost to before. Brunelleschi invented machines to hoist the bricks needed for the dome up to the workers and was able to construct the entire dome without using centering, a support structure to hold the dome in place while the bricks were laid. Containing over 4 million bricks, the dome was completed in 1436. I mean, there was a structure, but usually traditionally, conventionally, what happened with building a dome is you build an entire wooden scaffolding on the inside to hold up the bricks as the mortar set, and so you kind of lay the bricks and then wait for the mortar to set. But what he did was he built the scaffolding on top of the wall. So you see like the drum, as they call it, the circular thing here. He like built it across there, and he had like this kind of moving scaffolding or scaffolding that kind of was built along with the dome, which is kind of amazing. So instead of kind of building it from the ground up, which is what was conventionally done, he built it up here and had it sit on the walls of the drum, and then put the dome on top of that. So that was that made it a lot faster and a lot easier and a lot more a lot cheaper as well, because you don't have to build a massive scaffolding from the ground all the way out to the dome. The lantern was added after Brunelleschi's death in 1446 and supposedly contains holy relics. However, there were several rumors that in fact the entire tomb of unknown origin was located inside. Okay, that's fiction. The fact that there's a tomb inside there, but that's part of the game. So that's what they tell us in the game. So let's get out of that. Should we do a whole climb around the outside as well? I think we should. We probably should. Look at this thing, it's amazing. So they put the whole thing in the game. It's smaller though. It's bigger in real life than it is in game. Although it looks pretty impressive here. If we get up to the dome... Well, maybe you won't see it, because you haven't been there in real life. I've been there in real life. The dome is even bigger in real life than it is in game. Alright, so let's get to here. Pretty light still, look at that. So according to Wikipedia, the Basilica di Santa Maria del Fiore, Basilica of St. Mary of the Flower, is the main church of Florence, Italy, Il Duomo di Firenze, as it is ordinarily called, basically the Cathedral of, or the Dome of Florence. The Cathedral of Florence was begun in 1296 in the Gothic style to the design of Arnolfo di Cambio and completed structurally in 1436, so like 150 years later or something, 140 years later, with the dome engineered by Filippo Brunelleschi. The exterior of the basilica is faced with polychrome marble panels, so colored marble, in various shades of green and pink, bordered by white, and has an elaborate 19th century Gothic revival facade by Emilio de Fabris. So the facade in real life is Gothic revival and it's built much later? Let's just look at the facades. Yeah, okay. Okay, so apparently the... well, you see there it's still being constructed according to the game. But apparently the facade that exists today was built in the 19th century. Hold on, can we get a... Yeah, okay. This is 19th century. This. And according to the game... So that's wrong. So that, it's recognizable today, but it's actually 19th century. It's like 400 years or 500 years after the time of the game was when that facade was put in. Alright, so that's a bit of a historic discontinuity there, but that's okay, we can forgive that. So this really pretty stuff here, this stuff here, that's not supposed to be there in the game, but it is, but okay. The cathedral complex located in Piazza del Duomo includes the baptistry and Giotto's campanile. The three buildings are part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site covering the historic center of Florence and are a major attraction to tourists visiting the region of Tuscany. The basilica is one of Italy's largest churches, and until development of new structural materials in the modern era, the dome was the largest in the world. It remains the largest brick dome ever constructed. Amazing. So massive, massive dome. The cathedral is the mother church of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Florence, whose archbishop is currently... that doesn't really matter. So let's try and look for Renaissance references to this. So exterior plan and... Wow, I've got a lot of reading to do. So Santa Maria del Fiore was built on the site of early cathedral dedicated to Saint Reparata, according to Ballet, the conjoined by Arnolfo di Cambio and approved... Wait a minute. The code... Oh wait, what am I reading here? I don't think that sentence actually is right. I don't think that sentence is correct. Anyway, Arnolfo di Cambio was also the architect of the Church of Santa Croce and the Palazzo Vecchio. He designed three wide naves, ending under the octagonal dome. with the middle nave covering the area of Santa Reparata. The first stone was laid on September 9th, 1296 by Cardinal Valeriana, the first papal legate ever sent to Florence. The building of this vast project was to last 140 years, the collective efforts of several generations. Arnulfo's plan for the eastern end, although maintained in concept, was greatly expanded in size. The east end. That's the dome end. After Arnulfo died in 1302, the work on the cathedral slowed for the following 30 years. While the relics of Saint Zenobius were discovered in 1330 in Santa Reparata, the project obtained new impetus. In 1331, the Arte della Lana, the Guild of Wool Merchants, took over exclusive patronage for the construction of the cathedral, and in 1334 appointed Giotto to oversee the work. Assisted by Andrea Pisano, Giotto continued Di Cambio's design. His major accomplishment was the building of the Campanile, which is the tower. When Giotto died in 1337, Andrea Pisano continued the building until work was again halted due to the Black Death in 1348. Well, that sucked. In 1349, work resumed on the cathedral under a series of architects, commencing with Francesco Telente, who finished the Campanile and enlarged the overall project to include the apse and the side chapels, so the end under the domes. In 1359, Telente was succeeded by Giovanni di Lapogini, who divided the center nave in four square bays. Other architects were Alberto Arnoldi, Giovanni di Ambrogio, Neri di Fioravante, and Andrea Occagna. By 1375, the old church Santa Reparata was pulled down. The nave was finished by 1380, and by 1418 only the dome remained incomplete. So, a lot of people and a lot of time it took to build this thing. On 18th August 1418, the Arte della Lana announced a structural design competition for erecting Neri's dome. The two main competitors were two master goldsmiths, Lorenzo Ghiberti and Filippo Brunelleschi, who was supported by Cosimo de' Medici. Medici. Ghiberti had been winner of a competition for a pair of bronze doors for the baptistry in 1401, and the lifelong competition between the two remained acute. Brunelleschi won and received the commission. Ghiberti, appointed coadjudicator, was drawing a salary equal to Brunelleschi's, and though neither was awarded the announced prize of 200 florins, the prize was only $200, would potentially earn equal credit while spending most of his time on other projects. When Brunelleschi became ill or feigned illness, the project was briefly in the hands of Ghiberti. But Ghiberti soon had to admit that the whole project was beyond him. In 1423, Brunelleschi was back in charge and took over sole responsibility. Work started on the dome in 1420 and was completed in 1436. It took 16 years to build the dome. The cathedral was consecrated by Pope Eugene IV on March 25th, 1436, the first day of the year according to the Florentine calendar, and was the first octagonal dome in history to be built without temporary wooden supporting frame. The Roman Pantheon, a circular dome, was built in 117 to 128 AD with support structures. It was one of the most impressive projects of the Renaissance. During the consecration service in 1436, Girolame, the phase similarly unique motet Nupa Rosarum Flores was performed. The structure of this motet was strongly influenced by the structure of the dome. Okay. The decoration of the exterior of the cathedral, begun in the 14th century, was not completed until 1887. How long did it take? When the polychrome marble facade was completed to the design of Emilio de Fabri, the floor of the church was relaid in marble tiles in the 16th century. So the exterior facade was not completed until 1887. The exterior walls are faced with and with faced in alternate vertical and horizontal bands of polychrome marble from Carrara white, Prato green, Sienna red, Lavenza, and a few other places. That's amazing. So they imported stone from all over Italy to do this. These marble bands had to repeat the already existing bands on the walls of the earlier adjacent baptistry, the Battistero di San Giovanni and Giotto's bell tower. There are two lateral doors, the door of the Canonici and the door of the Mandola, with sculptures by Nanni Donatello and Jacopo della Quasia. The 6 lateral windows, notable for their delicate tracery and ornaments, are separated by pilasters. Only the 4 windows closest to the transept emit light, the other 2 are merely ornamental. The clerestory windows are round, a common feature in Italian Gothic. During its long history, this cathedral has been the seat of the Council of Florence, 1439. Heard the preaching... who cares? It's just interesting in architecture, really. Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of reading to do. There's more. I'm just going to take a break and look at the building for a bit. So there's the campanile. There's the facade that's not supposed to be complete for another 300 or 400 years or so. And all this facade is not supposed to be complete neither. So the windows aren't very big, at least not at the sides. Which is not surprising given that it's a it's a stone structure, so it has to hold a lot of weight, and windows are basically holes in the walls, which is a structural liability. It's not easy to put windows in a massive stone building like this. Cool. Alright, let's keep reading. Exterior, plan and structure. The Cathedral of Florence is built as a basilica having a wide central nave of 4 square bays, with an aisle on either... Wait a minute. Exterior. That's the interior. Somebody needs to fix the... So that's the interior. Okay, let's go... Okay, let's go to the exterior first. 4 square bays with an aisle on either side. The chancel and transepts are of identical polygonal plan, separated by 2 smaller polygonal chapels. The whole plan forms a Latin cross. The nave and aisles are separated by wide pointed Gothic arches resting on composite piers. That's the interior. The dimensions of the building are enormous. Length 153 meters, width 38 meters, width at the crossing 90 meters. The height of the arches in the aisles is 23 meters, and the height of the dome is 114.5 meters. The length is 103 meters. 103 meters. How will we measure this? How will we measure this? This is not 100 meters. This is more like 50 meters. Maybe this is like half the size of the whole thing. Like, it doesn't look like 150 meters, does it? Oh wait, or whatever. What was it? Hold on. Yeah, 153 meters. How should we measure this thing? The average per... Oh wait, this guy. Oh crap, I killed him. I did not mean to kill him. Okay. We'll take a break on architecture while we fight our way out of this situation. I did not mean to kill him. Really. Alright, come on. Actually, the bodies might be useful for us to measure the building. I did kill him though, but I can still take his money, right? Yeah, it's 1,500 florins. Can we use these bodies to measure the building?
I'm going to be sick.
No, don't. No, drop that. Can we, like, pick up body? Alright, let's pick up the body. So the average human is 1.7 meters, although that's modern humans. Historically, people have been shorter because of malnutrition. So, There you go. Anyway, we assume that this guy is like 1.7 meters tall. Drop body. Can we like use him as a ruler, please? Like, how do I... What's the best way to put him down so that we can... Huh. 1.7. No, this is in the wrong place. Let me just pop him down like there. Bro, can you just... okay, let's just pop him down like that. Hey, I'm trying to measure the length of this building here. These guys. Come on. Come on, stop wasting my time. I'm trying to measure this building. Yeah, you. Come. Alright, so they're dead. So let's get back to this. I think this, like the base of this column, or this this thing at the corner here, I think this is like 2 meters. 1.7, so from there to there, 1.7. Alright, let's assume that this thing is 2 meters. So from here, right, from here to here is like 2 meters. Is that right? I don't know, it seems a bit strange. Maybe Ezio is a bit bigger than everybody else. But if that's 2 meters, let's just roughly go through this. So 2, like 4, 6, 8, and then like 10 meters? Is that right? Am I doing this right? Is that 10 meters? The door is another 3 meters. It looks like maybe 4 meters. And then from there to there, assuming it's symmetrical, it's not 10, so that's like 24 meters to here. So let's assume 24 meters, or 22 or 20 meters a module. No, that's a different module size. See that? See how this module there is bigger than that module there. Alright, so that's 20. What was it? 24, and then like 26, 28, 30, 32. I don't know, 34, 36, 38, 40 meters. If it's 40 meters from there to there, I don't know if I'm... Okay, don't do that. 40 meters from there to there, and then from there to back here is like another double again. So this thing is like what, 80? Yeah, or so I feel like approximately, I think this thing is like approximately half the size, or you know, half the dimensions in each direction of the real thing. I think. Just roughly looking at it, you know, based on using a dead body to measure it. I think it's only half as big as the real thing. Let me just quickly get up here and lower my notoriety a little bit. Okay, so this thing is only half as big as the real thing, I think. Let me just get up here as well. And let's... wait a minute. Where's the... oh, it's on the other side here. Can I just shimmy across? No? Can do this though. Okay. Well, there you go. So the real thing would be, you know, twice as long, about. So you can see how massive this thing would be. I mean, imagine twice as high. It's massive, right? Okay, so the dome. By the beginning of the 15th century, after 100 years of construction, the structure was still missing its dome. The basic features of the dome had been designed by Arnolfo di Cambrio in 1296. His brick model, 4.6 meters high, 9.2 meters long, was standing in a side aisle of the unfinished building, and had long ago become sacrosanct. It called for an octagonal dome higher and wider than any that had ever been built, with no external buttresses to keep it from spreading and falling under its own weight. The commitment to reject traditional Gothic buttresses had been made when Neri di Fioravante's model was chosen over a competing one by Giovanni di Lapogini. The architectural choice in 1367 was one of the first events of the Italian Renaissance, marking a break with medieval Gothic style and a return to the classic Mediterranean dome. Italian architects regarded Gothic flying buttresses as ugly makeshifts, and since the use of buttresses was forbidden in Florence, in addition to being a style favored by central Italy's traditional enemies to the north, Neri's model depicted a massive inner dome open at the top to admit light, like Rome's Pantheon, but enclosed in a thinner outer shell, partly supported by the inner dome to keep out the weather. So it's it's got two layers on it. There's an inner dome and an outer dome. It was to stand on an unbuttressed octagonal drum. Neri's dome would need an internal defense against spreading, hoop stress, but none had yet been designed. In the Pantheon, by the way, what they did was they put an iron chain at the bottom of the circle, because I don't know how much you know about structures. Like if you have a dome, the thing with arches is that the weight pushes down, but the arch spreads out on the two legs, right? And as you push down in the middle, as gravity does, the two legs will push outwards, and the dome was basically like a three-dimensional shape, which works the same way. Like the weight of the dome will push outwards at the base. So what the Gothic architects did was they built buttresses to push back, so that you don't have the dome kind of pushing outwards at the base and then just kind of collapsing. Does that make sense? It's kind of difficult to. Maybe I should draw this somehow. Can't draw here, can I? Anyway, so actually I use this diagram here. Can you see the mouse? So when you push downwards, as gravity does at the dome, the base would push outwards on all sides, and so to hold it in. So what the Pantheon did, what the Romans did with the Pantheon, was they put an iron chain around the base of the dome, and because iron has a tensile strength, so the chain basically kind of chained the bottom of the dome together to stop it from breaking it outwards. So that's what they did, but I don't think anybody knew that at this time. Like it was a long time ago, and people didn't actually know how the Romans managed to get the Pantheon to stay together and not fall apart. But what they actually did was put a chain there to hold it together. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, Neri dome will need an internal defense against spreading, hoop stress. That's what they mean, like the internal against spreading, so having the circle kind of break outwards, but none had yet been designed. The building of such a masonry dome posed many technical problems. Brunelleschi looked to the great dome of the Pantheon in Rome for solutions. The dome of the Pantheon is a single shell of concrete, the formula for which had long been forgotten. A wooden form had held the Pantheon dome aloft while the concrete set, but for the height and breadth of the dome designed by Neri, starting 52 meters above the floor, spanning 44 meters, there was not enough timber in Tuscany to build the scaffolding and forms. There was not enough timber in Tuscany to build the scaffolding and forms. Like to build the scaffolding from the floor, like from the ground all the way up here, it's not enough wood in the whole country to do it. Brunelleschi chose to follow such design and employed a double shell made of sandstone and marble. Brunelleschi would have to build the dome out of bricks due to its light weight compared to stone and easier to form, and with nothing under during construction. To illustrate his proposed structural plan, he constructed a wooden and brick model with the help of Donatello and Nanni di Banco, which is still displayed in the Museo dell'Opera del Duomo. The model served as a guide for the craftsman, but was intentionally incomplete so as to ensure Brunelleschi's control over the construction. Brunelleschi's solutions were ingenious. The spreading problem was solved by a set of 4 internal horizontal stone and iron chains. Well, here you go. So he did the same. So he put a chain, stone and iron chain in the middle of the, around the drum, serving as barrel hoops, embedded within the inner dome. Actually, he put it inside the dome, not just at the base, but also inside the dome. I see. Embedded within the inner dome, each one each at the top and bottom. Oh wait, no. With the remaining two evenly spaced between. Oh yes, there we go. So 5. A fifth chain made of wood was placed between the first and second of the stone chains. Since the dome was octagonal, a stone chain, I mean, it sounds weird, a stone chain. But basically, they shaped the stone so that it interlocks together. Is basically what it means. Hold on, where was I? Since the dome was octagonal rather than round, a simple chain squeezing the dome like a barrel hoop would have put all the pressure on the 8 corners of the dome. The chains needed to be rigid octagons, stiff enough to hold their shape so as not to deform the dome as they held it together. Well, there you go. Each of Brunelleschi's stone chains was built like an octagonal railroad track with parallel rails and cross ties, all made of sandstone beams 43 centimeters in diameter and no more than 2.3 meters long. The rails were connected end to end with lead-glazed iron splices. The rails were connected end to end with lead-glazed iron splices. The cross ties and rails were notched together and then covered with bricks and mortars of the inner dome. The cross ties of the bottom chain can be seen protruding from the drum at the base of the dome. Hold on. The cross ties of the bottom chain can be seen protruding from the drum at the base of the dome. Hold on. Let's go. Alright. There they are. So those things there are actually the cross ties holding the stone chain together. So basically it's this kind of interlocking stone thing that holds the dome together and stops it from breaking outwards. Can we climb up here? Yes, we can. Alright, can I get up? Wait, are you kidding me? Can I not? No, can I get up like here? Yes. Alright, let's get up here. So what the Wikipedia is talking about right now is those things there. You see them? Let's just climb this. Nope. Let's climb the window. Yeah, so it's talking about those things right on top of my head. There. Those things, they're sticking out of the dome a little bit. Alright. The others are hidden. Each stone chain was supposed to be reinforced with a standard iron chain made of interlocking links, but a magnetic survey conducted in the 1970s failed to detect any evidence of iron chains, which, if they exist, are deeply embedded in the thick masonry walls. He was also able to accomplish this by setting vertical ribs on the corners of the octagon curving towards the center point. The ribs, 13 feet deep, are supported by 16 concealed ribs radiating from the center. The ribs had slits to take beams that supported platforms, thus allowing work to progress upwards without the need for scaffolding, if that makes sense. So there's kind of structural ribs there, so you see how there's the brick panel, in between, and then there's these things sticking out. Those are the ribs, and inside there's like a frame, or there's kind of notches and the structural things that hold up the frame, and so you could hang the frame off the structural rib so that the craftsman can put in the bricks in the middle, and so the thing actually hung off the dome itself, so you didn't have to build a scaffolding all the way to the ground to hold up these platforms for the workmen to put the bricks up. The thing actually, it's just hanging in midair off the actual dome structure. A circular masonry dome such as that of Hagia Sophia in Istanbul can be built without supports, called centering, because each course of brick is a horizontal arch that resists compression. In Florence, the octagonal inner dome was thick enough for an imaginary circle to be embedded in it at each level, a feature that would hold the dome up eventually, but could not hold the bricks in place while the mortar was still wet. Brunelleschi used a herringbone brick pattern to transfer the weight of the freshly laid bricks to the nearest vertical rib of the non-circular dome. So it's a herringbone brick pattern. Actually, can we see this? So it looks like this. So you see that there. So again, it's this interlocking patterns that transfers the weight of the dome onto the structure. Where was I? The outer dome was not thick enough to contain embedded horizontal circles, being only 60 centimeters thick at the base and 30 centimeters thick at the top. To create such circles, Brunelleschi thickened the outer dome at the insides of its corners at 9 different elevations, creating 9 masonry rings, which can be observed today from the space between the two domes. I don't think we'll get there in the game, but you can actually walk between the domes. That's how you get up there, by the way. You can kind of climb up between the walls and then go up through the dome. There's a staircase there, and then you get to the top. I've been there. To counteract hoop stress, the outer dome relies entirely on its attachment to the inner dome at its base. It has no embedded chains. A modern understanding of physical laws and the mathematical tools for calculating stresses was centuries into the future. Brunelleschi, like all cathedral builders, had to rely on intuition and whatever he could learn from the large-scale models he built. To lift 37,000 tons of materials, including over 4 million bricks, he invented hoisting machines and lewisons, I don't know if I pronounced that right, for hoisting large stones. These specifically designed machines and his structural innovations were Brunelleschi's chief contribution to architecture. Although he was executing an aesthetic plan made half a century earlier, it is his name rather than Neri's that is commonly associated with the dome. So he's basically the structural engineer. Like, he didn't design how the thing looked, but he figured out how to build it. And so he's the one who's credited for the dome at the end. Brunelleschi's ability to crown the dome with a lantern was questioned, and he had to undergo another competition. He was declared the winner over his competitors Lorenzo Ghiberti and Antonio Chiacchieri? I don't know how to pronounce that. His design, now on display in the Museum Opera del Duomo, was for an octagonal lantern with 8 radiating buttresses and 8 high arched windows. Construction of the lantern was begun a few months before his death in 1446. Then for 15 years little progress was possible due to alterations by several architects. The lantern was finally completed by Brunelleschi's friends Michelosso in 1461. The conical roof was crowned with the gilt copper ball and cross containing holy relics by Verrecchio in 1469. This brings the total height of the dome and lantern to 114.5 meters. The copper ball was struck by lightning on 17th of July 1600 and fell down. It was replaced by an even larger one 2 years later. Funny. Alright, so what was it? Octagonal lantern with 8 radiating buttresses and 8 high arched windows with a ball and a cross on top. Alright, let's go. So we can get up there. Right here, in fact. We can just climb up this. This is fun, right? Like, you gotta learn about architecture and then you just climb the thing in game. I mean, you read about it and then you climb it and you look at it. I love this game. It's great. Yeah, it's just great. So this thing is much smaller than in real life. I know that because I've been there. Well, not much smaller, as we said, like half the size. So 8 buttresses, you can see the buttresses there, and then 8 high arched windows, and then the ball and the cross at the top. You can climb up there too, by the way, if you want to. Let's do that. You can actually get all the way to the top of this thing. Wow, it's really bright up here. Come on, get up. There you go. All the way to the top. Don't do this in real life, guys. So here we go. This is the top of the Duomo, that's the Campanile there.